Hey folks, Les here again. I'm a couple days late with the next installment of my 10 days of DS, but life happens, so there. So anyway, um, what I am going to show you today, this is probably going to be a really quick one because what I'm going to show you is very simple, but super cool and incredibly handy. So let's just jump right in. So here we've got a Genesis 3 mail loaded up and a bunch of clothing that don't want to get into talking about what project that's for, but if you check out the stuff we got going on at CG Bytes, there's some announcements, some cool things coming down the pipe there. So I can't say too much about things, but anyway, yeah. So there's that. So anyway, we've got this cool outfit on the guy here. And what I'm going to show you is a means of posing multiple body parts at once inside Dash Studio. This is something that translates well, like for somebody like me who's a Maya user. A lot of times I do things when I'm animating inside Maya where I will grab multiple body parts and manipulate a lot of different things at once. It makes it feel much more like some kind of traditional puppetry almost. So in Poser, you can never do that. And I don't know if there's plans to have something like this open up. Hey guys, if you're listening, you know who you are. It would be really cool if you could do this. So this is one of the little things that I've stumbled onto that as I've been making some poses, that I really dig this. So anyway, enough bluster leading up to it. Let's just jump in. So if you notice my layout here, I keep my scene pane open. You can get to that through window panes. Go down here, pop it open, just dock it over here at the side. Um, I keep that open because I use that hierarchical view there to select things quite often. Um, so what I'm going to do right now is go in and pose his torso. Now, in the Genesis figure, the torso has a lot of parts, a lot more parts than a lot of figures do. There's a lot of reasons for that, and there's a lot of different debate that TDs, technical directors, guys who do like rigging for 3D professionally, a lot of times are called TDs. That's normally my job title. Most places, most jobs that I work on is technical director. So TDs, you know, for as long as this stuff has existed, have debated the pros and cons of more joints down the torso, less joints down the torso, so on and so forth. So anyway, with Genesis, they've opted for a few more joints down the torso, which is fine. But it does add a little bit of work into posing. So because you've got, typically you're going to grab a body part, you're going to move it, you're going to grab another body part, and you're going to move it. Well, the thing is, if I were posing inside Maya for a more for the kind of work that goes into film or TV or rendered animation or gaming, I'm probably not going to sit and spend the time, um, unless I have to, of going bone by bone, tweak, moving things around. I'm going to have controls and systems and all kinds of ways to do a lot of things very quickly and operate on multiple actors at once. By actors, I mean body parts. So you can now do that, like with Daz Studio, you can do that. And it's something that I hadn't spent enough time in Daz Studio until just recently to really find out some of these things. And a lot of what I'm going to relay through these videos are things that really are where, like, whenever I work inside a program, what I will do is I'll take what I know as a professional using Maya or 3D Studio Max. I used to use Max a lot. Been a Maya guy for a long time though. I'll take what I know and what I like and what I apply from that kind of professional world of Maya stuff, and see if there's something analogous to it inside another piece of software, whether it's Poser or Dash Studio or there's a couple other pieces of software out there, but these are the primaries. So what I'm going to do here is show you, like, if you're a Maya guy watching this, you'll be like, oh, that makes total sense. And if you're not, it might be something new to you, but it's really cool. So anyway, what we'll do is go inside the scene panel here. Oh, let's open that back up. And unlike in Poser, with Dash Studio, you can select multiple body parts inside here. So it does get a little strange. Like, it doesn't always like selecting things that aren't directly in sequence from each other. I've seen it get weird like that. Right now it is, which is kind of funny because I really don't need these selected this way. But if you're selecting multiple body parts, you hold the control key and then should be able to control click, there we go, and select multiple things. Sometimes it wants to let go. It has its own little nuances. But for right now, what we're going to be selecting is a set of body parts that are in a direct chain from one another. So we're going to go down to the lower abdomen and just hold shift and then click at the top of that chain, the chest upper, okay? And I'm just going to collapse these collars now so we don't have so much clutter there. Now, if I go into the parameters tab, and you'll notice I'm using the parameters tab. I'm not using that posing tab. I know a lot of folks will probably use posing and use shaping and all these other things. I actually don't bother with shaping or posing, those tabs, because everything that those contain is actually found inside parameters and feels more like what I'm used to out of something like Maya. Where I can from here access multiple things at once. With those others, it's kind of, I feel like the purpose for those other tabs is to sort of simplify some of the process so that you go, oh, I want to pose. Well, I'll use posing, and then sliders that are that a creator, a figure creator makes and sets up so that they show up there will show up there and nothing else does, so you don't get confused looking around. There's a certain value to that's cool, and I appreciate it, and it's great. It's kind of handy if you're just starting out, so that things aren't maybe as confusing. But when you get a little more experienced, or even if you're not, I mean, I don't think this is all that bad. You start to realize, maybe there could be some more powerful ways to do these things. So I'll use the parameters tab instead of those, and here's why. And this relates directly to what we're talking about right now. With these multiple body parts selected, I can come in here to parameters, click on one, hold shift, select all of these, and here you'll see this number appear on these parameters. That's because we have 4 body parts selected. So it tells you there how many body parts you have selected. Now, if I grab this bend dial, which really is just X rotate, again, this is something that's kind of common. It's very common actually. It's a standard for products. People a lot of times think that something is not a finished product if these things aren't named. I personally would prefer it if they just said X rotate, Y rotate, Z rotate, because I tend to think in such 3D terms that I would rather know what axis it is, because what may be side to side for one body part isn't necessarily what you might consider side to side for another body part, or bend, or any of the others. So, but anyway, so here we have these. Now, I do like that they are color coded here, so that kind of takes it back to what I'm more used to in a professional setting, where X is colored red, Y is green, and Z is blue. So that's kind of cool. I like that they have that there. I also like that they have this, this gizmo here that looks a lot like the universal controller in Poser, but this is really familiar from, familiar type of manipulator in the viewport to most professional programs. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, we've got these 4 body parts selected, and we'll come in here to our parameters tab, select one, hold shift, click at the bottom. That gets all of them. Now watch what happens when let's do side to side. Watch what happens when I click and drag now. It actually manipulates all 4 of them at once. I find that to be incredibly useful. And then to restore them, Control E restores an element. It's a same key command that it is inside Poser, and it will restore all 4 of those at once. Now, if I come out in the viewport and I try to use a manipulator out here, then it's only going to work on the on the last body part that was selected. But I can go back over here to these parameters inside the parameter tab, and there we can use all of those at once. So That's really handy on areas like a torso, or like here we have 2 joints in the neck plus the head, so you could select all 3 of those. Um, we could do this, selecting neck lower, neck upper, and head, then come in here and bend all 3 at once. Let's take this out of edit mode. Twisting all of them at once. I find that to be so useful. If we were to zoom in on a hand, here's another place that this is just really incredibly handy, is for doing poses for fingers. You figure the fingers, you're talking about having to typically manipulate, for a good pose, you're going to manipulate all the fingers to some degree, and that's, 15 joints per hand. That's a lot of stuff to click on and have to work with. So I'll just select the first joint that I want to work with, which should highlight it here in my scene view. Then I'll right click it and hit expand from selected so that it expands its hierarchy downward. Then I'll hold shift and click at the end of that, so now I have all 3. And then I'll come back to my parameters tab. Let's say I want to bend all of those fingers together. Okay. So this piece of clothing, by the way, is in development right now. So we're just going to hide that at the moment because there's some things that I'm still working on with that. So that's kind of part of the funny part of videos like this, that I'm doing, like as I work on new things, is you may see some things, you'll be like, oh my god, that's broken. No, it's not broken, it's in development. So just forgive that. It's kind of like Oz behind the curtain. There's nothing to see here. Just move along. So, but anyway, here we've selected those 3 finger joints, and have to remember to select all of them inside here too. So while those are selected too, I can click on any of these. Like if I wanted to do just this one, and then I want the rest of these, I can get to any one parameter out of there at the same time just by clicking on it. So there's all 3 finger joints operated at once. Now I know there are remote controls on the hands on the Genesis figures, just like I put in almost all of my figures forever now, for 13, 14 years, I think, that we've been releasing original figures, maybe longer than that. I don't know. I lose track. I'm getting old. But even though there are those remote controls, so if you've got a dial on the hand that you can go to and manipulate that stuff, it's I find that if I want to save poses that don't necessarily conflict with those dials, that a lot of times it's better to have direct manipulation of the joints, which you get this way. So, and then on top of that, we could go in and expand out the rest of these. So let's just expand from selected, expand from selected. Okay, so let's take all 12 of those joints, and here we go, and then boom. So that is some handy stuff, I think. And so anyway, that's it for this installment. So I should be back up to doing these. My intention was to do these daily, or at least semi-daily. I probably won't do them over weekends, because if I don't get away from here, I will go crazy. So the next one should hit Monday. So I hope you enjoy these. I hope you get something out of them, and we'll come back and watch future installments. Thanks.